Okay, I have 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Going to ask if folks in Zoom land can hear me. Please respond. People
hear
on
you.
Zoom, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, we have 4 trustees present at Town Hall, 1 on Zoom. And our next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, our next item 2, additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. If there are none, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we,
Hang on. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Are you on?
all right.
Yep.
Paragraph 4, reports, third line, state level, not level. If you could correct that, please.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Okay, with that, now I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the,
Hang on, Catherine, we're on item 2, just the regular agenda.
okay, I guess I was confused because we're talking about the minutes.
Yeah. So is the corrections for the items in the minutes correct? Okay, so it's, as we stand, we need a motion on tonight's agenda.
I move that we approve tonight's agenda as written.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we're moving on to consent agenda. It's already been mentioned that we have 1 correction. If there aren't any other corrections, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the mentioned correction.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries. Our next item is item 4, mayor and trustee reports. I'll start the day on my left. Catherine,
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Sean.
John mentioned for the record what the update was for the Honda project.
Oh, yeah, just a update on the Hondo project, the CSU pump station is currently in the process of demobilization. Most of their equipment has been removed. They were looking at a tentative date for being completely out of there, which has passed due to weather conditions, delaying them a little bit, but they will be coordinating with the town in the very near future to conduct a final site visit to make sure that the site was left in a great condition.
Thanks. That's all I had.
Okay, next I'll go to trustee Donzello.
Nothing to report.
Trustee King.
Nothing.
I'll report that we are continuing our discussions on the broadband. Again, I'd like to reiterate, if you have not done a speed test on your internet, please do so before Thursday. Now, we're bringing that date in. And there's been a couple times where we have noted speed reductions around between the 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. on some days. So you might want to target at least one or two of your speed tests during that time frame. Becky and I are going to be meeting with one of the existing providers tomorrow and potentially a new provider next week. I'm going to be quite blunt and ask them if, what they can do for the town. Ideally, what I would like to see is a is a low-cost option that has 100 speeds of 100 megabits down and 20 megabits up. That seems to be where the governmental agencies seem to be focusing on. As far as if you're getting if you have the speeds needed, the only difference is they don't really factor cost into it. And so if there are high cost options that give 100 down, 20 up, then you basically are meeting, they're calling it you can't be an underserved community with respect to speeds at that point. So yeah, so we'll be having those meetings tomorrow and a week from tomorrow, and we'll report out from there. Outside of that, I think that's all I have. Get my thing back up. Moving on to item 4B, staff reports.
We just passed 6 months since this board gave me permission to move 40% of town money into Colo Trust. And I'm going to reduce this so you can see it better. Here, give me one sec. Beginning balance, showing the additional funds that went in. And we're doing quite well. This is a return on 6 months in Colo Trust at that amount. So we're yielding 5.5%, which is a little bit better than anticipated. And I actually just had this come in today. So it's not in the packet, but this is our calendar year of 2023 interest statement from Park State Bank. And there we received $563.64 in a whole year's interest on 60% of our money. So 40% of the money is doing pretty good, and it's all still there and seems to be working out for now. So my other thing to report is we've done well with navigating the election coming up in April. All the petitions came in well, we're verified, we're hitting deadlines, and the only thing I feel like I'm close on is this initial ballot printing for February 19th and getting this resolution that's in the packet translated and over to the printer and then out for mailing. But everything else we're ahead and keeping up, and Judy's been amazing to work with. So thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Yeah, we do have Dusty's report in here. Just a quick update for Public Works. They've been busy doing some plowing and sanding operations. We have, and I'm not going to read through his entire list here, but you can see that it's extensive. They've been working hard to make sure that roads are taken care of in a timely manner. We have been pivoting the schedule of Public Works to accommodate these snowstorms, which does put us a little bit lighter in the middle of the week when we know that they're going to come on the weekend. But really proud of their efforts last weekend, and they're prepared for what might fall our way this next weekend. There have been several projects where they've worked at the parks, definitely checking ice depths on the weekly basis through the end of the season. And a pretty significant amount of equipment repairs. We did have recently our salt sander that goes on one of the trucks fail in a pretty major way. So we have authorized the replacement of that unit for the back of the truck that was within what we can afford to do with our RTA funds for maintenance this year. So that should be coming in the next 2 weeks. In the meantime, we do have the one salt sander that still is functional on the other vehicle. Any questions? Oh, I do also want to put a little bit of a thanks to Kelly and to El Paso County. We were able to get him into their CDL training program. So this is a big deal. It will definitely save us some funds and ensure that we've got some redundancy on operators that can operate the water truck.
And I would like to specifically recognize Mr. Joe Olds for taking care of our dog waste containers for a long time. He sent us something and said he's no longer going to be able to do that. But Joe, we really thank you for your support and your commitment to our community and helping us take care of that for so long. Thank you very much.
Marshall's report this time or next?
Pretty boring. Marshall's office, so it's very, we're in our slow time and it's going well. I am caught up on all my last year's reports, everything's closed out for last year. And a lot of paperwork.
Awesome. And just a couple of administrative updates. We do have our audit dates scheduled for the week of April 8th. So that puts us on pretty good target for having that finished prior to our deadline, which is awesome. It will require a significant amount of staff time to prepare and make sure that we have those documents populated into the box, the shared folder for the auditors. So we are spending some time, our free time doing that right now. Also, we did submit a grant application. I wanted to let you know that that was submitted for the CDBG 3 project that focuses largely on the realignment of the American Discovery Trail. Want to really thank the Parks, Rec, and Trails Advisory Committee for their support on that project and that application. Got really good feedback from the grantor that was basically, thank you for a very complete and thorough application. So really appreciate that help. And also our project for 2024 CDBG funds, which is the replacement of the gazebo island bridge, has been posted to the town's website. It is open for bid. And we hope to have some bids on it. So we do anticipate if we receive some bids, the closing deadline is the 13th of February. So that gives us enough time to get a contract put together prior to your meeting on the 20th. Another quick little update on FEMA. I know you guys have heard about that quite a bit over the past several months. We are really pretty close to having all of our completed work done. Everything's been submitted. We do have one project that is requiring that Army Corps of Engineers permit. So we are still in the process of obtaining that permit. We did submit an application for that permit, but they did come back requesting some additional information. So that will be coming up or complete here soon. Any questions on that or any other operational stuff?
It just came to mind. We've had discussions about the grader and it needing replaced or leased or something. Any progress on that or?
We have been, yeah, definitely. We are very much looking for a good affordable piece of equipment. The guys are keeping their eyes out. Also looking at some of our other partners from around that area and seeing if they have something that they are getting rid of on surplus. In the meantime, it doesn't appear as though our grader is at risk of imminent failure. But if it does occur, we have got the opportunity to rent something or lease something with short notice to make sure that we're able to continue operations.
Been getting a lot of positive feedback about the maintenance guys from the public. So
Thanks.
kudos to them.
Got a great crew.
Okay, is that it for reports? If that's it, we'll move on to item number 5, public comments. Do we have anyone in?
I do think that we have committee reports, or at least one committee report here
Oh,
tonight.
okay,
And this is something that didn't make it to your applicate or to your packet. because it's a conditional use permit. So it's something that we're able to approve administratively. But Mr. Stroop from the Parks, Rec and Trails Advisory Committee and Green Box, and this,
Advice.
wearing the green box hat tonight, would like to make himself available to answer any questions and kind of present the project for your informational purposes.
Yeah. Do we have any visuals or anything that?
We do have a visual. We're unfortunately not remoted in on this computer. We did get a new laptop for the space today. But Bo does have a printout that he's able to pass around so we can circulate it. And if anybody would like to see a sneak peek of it that is online, please email Jesse.
Lawrence Avenue with Greenbox. So I did submit what used to be a revocable use permit, now a conditional use permit to do an art installation on Gazebo Island for Greenbox. We would install, I think, first week in June, and that would be up through end of October. There are photographs in the packet, but basically, there's an artist named James Tapscott, who would come over from Australia, and he would build a 9-foot ring around part of the bridge. Water would be pumped through that ring, which would create a mist around it, and lights inside of it would illuminate that mist. So it could look like fire or ice. A very cool installation.
Can you, would you mind letting Bo know what it's called and
Yeah.
we can,
Yeah, look for Arc Nimbus or Tapscott. So we would require town power. We would need to run 220 out to the bridge, which could be left as a permanent improvement. We would need water. So I would look at the irrigation line at the Gazebo Island, make sure that it's in good shape, probably have some improvements to that and leave that improvement as well. The pump station for it would either be mounted underneath the bridge or at the shore, depending on if there's room. Intech Engineering is working with the artist. The ring attaches to one of the purlins of the bridge. So they have engineered a special plate to go onto those purlins. So no permanent damage to anything. We'll leave it better than we found it. And there are some images.
And Jesse, would we be able to turn water and lighting on and off if we have like weddings and stuff on the gazebo?
Absolutely, absolutely. It'll be as simple as a power switch.
Okay.
And it'll go off at when the park closes at 10 each night.
Okay. Anyone have any further questions for Jesse? Thank you. If you don't.
During
Got
the
one over there.
day, how long would it be on and off? Is it cycled?
Yeah, we would turn it on probably at 7 a.m.
Okay.
and it would stay on until 10 p.m. It looks nice in the daytime too.
It sounds like the timing is close to the rebuilding of the bridge.
True.
And I know that the power is also something that's going to be worked on there. So is this going to be kind of a joint effort or at least communication at the time?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, the water line and the electric are important improvements. So that'll have to be done along with the bridge installation. Worst case scenario, I hate to even say it, but if the bridge weren't complete, then we would look to relocate it probably over the path through the park.
Will it just be there during the Green Box Festival or before and after?
Before and after, installing the first week in June and coming down end of October.
Thank you.
Yeah, it might be close. I think we were saying Memorial Day, maybe for the completion of the bridge.
That's what we're targeting, is to make
Mhm.
sure that everything's complete by Memorial Day weekend. There may be one, depending on what the contractor needs to do. One area of this project is repairing some of the spalling on the piers underneath. That's one portion of the work that could potentially be done later in the season after most of our events have occurred. But it really just depends on getting that timeline put together with the contractor, and we'll make sure that Mr. Stroop is involved.
Sounds good.
Okay, any additional questions? Thank you, Jesse. Okay, now we're ready for public comment. Okay, do we have anyone in the audience wishing to comment? If not, we will move on to Zoom land. Well, is anyone raising their hand on Zoom? I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go on to our business items. First item up is item 6A, Friends of UPass Trails 2024 agreement.
You have in your packet also a recommendation from the Parks Rec and Trails Advisory Committee with their recommendation for approval for the Parks Rec or the Friends of UPass Trails Maintenance Agreement for 2024. This agreement is largely unchanged with the exception of dates from the 2023 and 2024 agreements. The amount remains the same.
And we included that amount in our budget, correct?
We did.
Trustees, any comments, questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the trail maintenance agreement between the Friends of Ute Pass Trails and the town of Green Mountain Falls for the year 2024.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Friends of UPass Trails 2024 agreement. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing no opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item 6B, the 86th annual Bronc Day application and fee waiver.
And we do have Ms. Bonwell in the audience to answer any questions if you need. But you have in your packet the application as well as a request to waive the town's fee associated with holding the event. That would be a $700 and $50 event fee, as well as $100 per hour for traffic control. Do you have any questions for Ms. Bonwell?
Just a comment, I think we should note that the original nonprofit organization has transferred Bronc Day to a new nonprofit. This new nonprofit is called, I'm blanking, I'm good grief, I just asked, Building UPass Community, thank you. I've only seen that about 100 times in the past month, but anyway, Building UPass Community is the new nonprofit that'll be leading our Bronc Day activities.
Becky, I have a question for you. Traffic control fees at $100 an hour. Isn't that money paid directly to the officers?
Yes.
So how can we waive that?
I think that would be the portion that needs to be deliberated here.
Okay.
The way that we've done traffic control in the past is largely relying upon the officers serving extra duty from other communities,
Mhm.
correct? Mhm. Marshall, can you tell me in years past how many hours or what that total cost has been for typical Bronc Day?
So last year we were lucky that, Woodland Park Police Department supported us at no cost, with their officers. Well, I say no cost. I think we bought them lunch. So, so it was good. But the new chief for Woodland Park is a proponent of working together. We support them with their parades and they support us with our stuff during the summertime. So we're fortunate in that. Before that, one of the things that we did was we used our reserve officers who typically don't get paid. And that $100 would go to them to give them something just as an incentive for them to do it. So does it have to happen? Absolutely not. They will work for free because this is part of what they signed up for. It's okay. And so I would be, from me to you, it's okay if we would waive this fee. I think we have other options that we can look at for compensation and things like that. So.
So in the past, has the town collected the fee and then passed it on?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were when something like this came before the board. And um, not including the traffic control fee, just the special event fee, that if it was something that was you know, of this nature, and I can't remember if it was Bronc Day.
Mhm. It had to do with the vendors paying sales tax,
Oh, that was it.
Yep.
Thank you.
which it never went any further than that brief discussion.
Yeah, I think what happened was the Bronc Day Committee last year tried to ensure that they had their sales tax numbers. So that as they had sales in our area,
Mhm.
it goes to state and then state hopefully gives us our share.
Yeah, and I think that what the board had decided, I thought we did come to a decision about that in the vendors, that in situations like that, it was going to be handled the same way. Which I think was like a flat fee. And,
And we were also going to revisit the special permit fee
okay,
and possibly increasing that to cover what we would lose, what the town would lose from not having sales tax.
okay. So it sounds like that wasn't, that hasn't been
Well, first off,
fleshed out. Okay, thank you.
it's not. a
Sorry,
town-
sorry to take that. I didn't mean to go down that path.
Okay.
I just knew that there was something in relationship to these type of events that the board.
Yeah, it's
had
not up to the
worked
town
on.
to not collect sales tax. That's a state requirement.
Unaware.
So yeah, I mean, they're supposed to be charging sales tax anyway. So,
Yeah, I
It
think
was-
the idea was that we were trying to simplify it for the organizers so that the onus was on the vendors.
Yeah, the town does have a vendor fee in the fee schedule, and I was up that amount too. That was something that did occur last year. I believe that those vendor fees were waived. We did want to make sure that we were able to verify that those sales tax had been remitted. That's why we asked for their sales tax license number. That's something that you could certainly do again this year if you would like, not included in this application.
So the question before us now, with the traffic control fees, am I understanding you to say that you're comfortable waiving those fees for this event?
Yes.
Thank you.
okay, do we have any other questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
And at this time, we're moving on the request to waive the fees.
It's well, go back up because it had both of them
Or
in it.
do we want to approve the event first and then waive the fees?
It's waive the fees associated with holding the event, including the event fees and traffic control fees. So you could do one at a time, or we could do it all at once.
Okay, well,
What's the pleasure? of the-
I think they should be separate because the traffic control fees are part of the marshal's purview, not ours.
I don't have hard feelings one way or another, together or separate.
well, if I may, I'd like to grant the 86th Bronx Day Festival approve the permit application. That's been submitted by the Building You Pass community for July 27th, 2024.
Question. Temporary permits is an administrative, temporary use permits is administrative.
Yeah,
The only thing we'd really be voting on is whether or not to waive the fees, right?
so I think that since the new land use code was adopted, that changes that to a special or to a temporary use permit. We have not come up with a special events policy. It's one of those cleanup items that needs to occur as a result of the cult code. In the meantime, I would recommend having the board approve of event applications, especially ones of this scale.
Okay.
And staff will work to draft a policy for special events for future use.
Okay, sorry about that. So, okay, would you mind restating your motion?
I'm sure I'll word it differently this time. I move that we approve the special events permit application for the 86th Annual Bronx Day Festival. Excuse me, submitted by the Building Ute Pass community for July 27th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the special event permit for Building You Pass community for Bronx Day. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And then we'd move on to the fees.
I move that we waive the event fee of $750 for the 86th Annual Bronx Day Festival.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We waive the event fee for the 86th Annual Bronx Day. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And now finally, the traffic control.
I move that we approve the waiving of the traffic control fees that would normally go to the marshal's office.
Do I have a second?
No,
I do.
the traffic control fees that would
Because-
normally go to volunteers?
Because it's that office, that department's choice.
Okay,
So we can,
on behalf of the marshal's department?
And it's on the fee schedule.
It's on the fee schedule, and so I considered that to be a board item. I apologize to the marshal for not, stopping at that stop ahead of this one, so.
Is that something that even needs to be decided by the board? I mean, it sounds like it's the marshal's decision.
It's on the fee schedule.
Oh,
So,
okay.
since it's on the fee schedule, we'd have to.
We have to waive it.
Yeah.
You made the motion, I'll second.
It's because it was it's an extra duty event that we can charge for. And since it's on the fee schedule, you guys are the only ones that can waive it.
Right.
Although I would support you guys waiving it in this,
Okay.
in this instance.
thank you, Marshall.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I believe I have a motion from Catherine, a second from Sean to waive the traffic control fee. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And if you could also put in there that it's with the Marshall's
Marshall's
Department approval.
concurrence.
Thank you.
I'm sure if you'd like to donate, if folks would like to donate, they would probably appreciate it too. We do have a donations policy.
Yeah, I
Both.
think we can at least feed our friends.
Low hanging fruit.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to item 6C? Yeah, I think so. Item 6C is the Super Skate event application.
Yeah, and you have in your or in your packet again, the Super Skate application. This would be for this coming Saturday tentatively. Looking at weather and ice conditions, there's a possibility that it could be changed to a different date. So we would like to ask approval for the Super Skate at the Lake event for this Saturday with TBD contingency backup date.
Trustees, any questions, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the special event permit application for Super Skate at the Lake, sponsored by the Parks, Recs and Trails Advisory Committee, to be held on February 10th, 2024, with a contingency to be determined depending on the weather.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved to say we approve the event permit for the Super Skate at the Lake, assuming weather cooperates. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, our next item is item 6 Delta Resolution 2024-02, election date and terms.
This resolution will allow me to pose a question to the voters in our upcoming April election as to whether or not the town of Green Mountain Falls should join El Paso and Teller counties in future elections. Our elections are held in April. They hold elections in November. So it also lengthens 3 of your terms to November to connect those dots.
Trustees, questions, comments? And this would be on the ballot, assuming it gets approved.
It's been a long time coming, so thank you for getting
Yeah,
it this far.
Yeah, to make it clear to the public, this would save the town thousands of dollars every election cycle. Between $6,000 and $12,000. Is that correct, Bo?
Yeah, at least, and it seems like that number is increasing, as more regulations and whatnot. For example, doing a full mail out, right, is a huge amount of, printing and postage and everything like that, so.
Will there be any information available for people to so that they know what the reason for this being on the ballot is for, as far as how much money it would save us approximately?
Yeah, absolutely. We control the messaging, so the way that it's worded on the ballot, there is room for some explanation there.
Are we required to send out like the state does the blue books?
I don't know that.
Yeah. We'll need to find that out because we would need to send out a mailer or something.
You ready to entertain a motion?
Yep, trustees,
right.
if there's no more questions, comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve resolution number 2024-02, a resolution of the town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado, referring to voters at the April 2nd 2024 regular election, a ballot question on whether the town's regular election date should be moved to November of even-numbered years effective 2024, thereby changing the terms of the mayor and trustees that would expire in April of an even-numbered year to expire in November of that same even-numbered year.
I'll second that.
And I just found an error. Damn it. Okay. Last paragraph, effective in 2024, shall the town of Green Mountain Falls regular election date be changed from the first Tuesday of April in each even number year to the Tuesday succeeding the first Monday of November in each even number year. And upon such change, shall the terms of mayor and trustee, here's the problem, mayor and trustee positions up for election in 2024 that would expire in April of 2028. The mayor would not expire in 2028. Mayor would expire in 2026. So we need to make that correction.
Adding the sentence that the deleting mayor
Yeah.
from that
We
one.
would need to delete it and that one added to the next one where it says, the trustees would expire in April. It would be mayor and trustees. It would expire in April 2026, be changed to November. Sorry, I just saw that.
Right, we can amend this.
Yeah, okay. So the motion and the second, are you okay with the amendment?
Yes.
As amended, thank you.
Okay. Been moved and seconded that we approve resolution number 2024-02 as amended. All in favor, say aye.
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 I
Any opposed? Motion carries. And yeah, I'll sign that when we get the corrected version. Okay, our next item up is item 6E, baseline engineering PSA.
Yes, you have in your packet a professional services agreement for baseline engineering. This would be to support planning services with projects that are too large or time consuming for our part-time planner to accomplish. This contract or this professional services agreement would only be utilized. There's no contract term, and it would be on an as-needed basis.
Trustees, questions, comments?
I
Yeah, I
would
do-
like the, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No. After you, I just,
All right, we had discussed the fees and adding verbiage for hourly on those.
We can certainly amend that.
And I would also like the references to termination to be reviewed. I think that the attorney has provided you with a boilerplate
Mhm.
type of contract. And neither of the notification or the termination wording reflect what you verbally told us.
Perfect. With, are you comfortable with those amendments occurring before the contract gets sent to the firm?
Is there a hurry for this? To get
I
approved?
would say that it's time sensitive. I'd prefer to not wait until our next meeting to get it going, just in case we have something big come in while our planner is out of state.
yeah,
We-
although
we could've-
realizing
Go
it's time sensitive. My question is, did you run this by our planning commission at all? Did they get a
Yes.
chance to look at this? Were they involved in it? Did they advise for this at all?
The planning commission did interview a couple of similar firms prior to selecting Julia. It was discussed with them. This particular one has not. And really, this is something that is outside of the decision-making authority of the planning commission.
Now, why would you say that it's out of their authority to advise on this particular contract or any contract for them? Not that this is necessarily a contract, you're saying it's not. Although Sunday has her concerns as well as like a termination clause in there, but why wouldn't they be involved in this at all?
This is under the responsibilities and duties of your administrative staff.
Now, who determines that? Just out of curiosity, I mean, if we have advisory committees and commissions, like what would arguably give them any authority at all
This is per
in
code. sir.
determining?
This is per
This
code.
this is for code?
This is per code. We're following the process outlined in your municipal code.
Okay, so in our municipal code, for this very specific type of contract, we are not to use advisory boards or committees? Like how, if you could explain that to me, because I am very curious. As
Give me
to
just
why
a
they,
moment and I'll pull up your municipal code if the board would like to entertain this.
I mean, is the rest of the board okay with her pulling this up? Because I'm just
Hey,
very,
Nick, is this something that could be, well, I'll look to the rest of the board, but my question would be, is this something you could work offline with Becky?
well, I mean, I guess it depends if we're approving something tonight or not. I'm just curious as to what we're utilizing our advisory boards. I mean, for instance, PRTAC tonight had an advice memo essentially for approving Friends of Ute Pass as a contract to take care of our trails. How does this work for something that seems, at least on the surface, that it should be in the lane of planning commission to at least be aware of some collaboration? How does that determined? Do we as a board determine that, or is that an administrative determination?
Nick, it's my understanding that we had this discussion already about, and this was one of the contingencies for town planner was to contract services. And I don't know if your issue is this specific contract or if it's contracting services.
I wouldn't say this specific contract, just if it has to do with trails, or beautification of the city, that obviously falls under, we would assume that it falls under, Parks, Recs, and Trails. This
Well,
is
if it's not the
clearly for
actual
planning.
contract that bothers you, but the fact that we're contracting, that's kind of water under the bridge. We've already,
Oh,
we
no.
already dealt with
No,
this some time
yeah,
ago.
it's not that. It's not that we're contracting anything. It's, was the commission involved at all in any solutions to this problem, augmenting any jobs to somebody else after Julia? Were they a part of this at all? I guess
I think
is my
I
question.
think they were part of the discussion, and I think this has always been part of the contingency, to my understanding. That it was always known that Julia, this was not her full-time job, and that there may come a time when we would need to contract services.
Yeah, my thoughts, Nick, personnel matters. And I see this as a personnel matter. No committee has any authority to enter into anything with a personnel matter.
What staff's goal here is to make sure that we're able to provide timely and efficient services in the planning department to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our citizens and our applicants. This is what staff is recommending as what is needed to ensure that occurs. If you would like to reference the power and duties of the Planning Commission, you may go to section 2-162 of the town's municipal code.
We're planning to meet on the 20th. And it's not timely.
We do hope to have an application ready for the Planning Commission's review on the 27th. If we're able to, I do think that this contract in this specific situation or this agreement would ensure that we're able to meet that deadline for the Planning Commission meeting on the 27th. That particular application does have some additional posting requirements that we're navigating. And we'd prefer not to hold the applicant up.
Okay, any additional questions, comments?
Who is the individual on this? Is it Julia? No.
No, this is, we've been working with a member of Baseline, whose name is Ben Thurston.
Thank you.
This wasn't recommended by Julia?
This was recommended by Julia. This was something that we were working with Julia.
Okay, if there's no additional questions, comments, I entertain a motion.
Well, again, I want to mention that the word hourly is going to be added to the fees and termination is going to be revisited.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can do it as modified,
okay,
and I won't sign it
okay, perfect.
until it's modified. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the contract with Baseline Engineering
As
with,
modified?
as modified.
Okay.
For support with planning.
Do I have a second? I will second. It's been moved and seconded. We approve the contract with Baseline Engineering as modified. All in favor say aye. Aye. Do we have any opposed?
I oppose.
I oppose.
So we have a 3-2. Did you get the opposed? Okay. Yep. Okay. Moving on, the bills. I had this added to see if the Board of Trustees would like to take positions of the town. And the 3 bills I added were House Bill 24-1155, which is basically concerning basically identifying the sheriff as incident commander. I'm going to table that one because I need more information from the chief and from PPR OEM. And I think I've got at least a little bit of time on that. Next one is first one I'd like to bring to our attention is House Bill 24-1006. And it's basically something that concerning wildfire related grant money. And what got my attention is it states, and I quote, in accordance with subsection 4, this section provide technical assistance to rural communities to identify and apply for grant money made available to rural communities for wildfire mitigation, prevention, response, or risk mitigation efforts. That applying for really got my attention. And personally, I'm going to support this bill. It's one of the few that I actually do feel comfortable supporting. But I wanted to bring it in front of the board to see if the board was, would be willing to support it take a support position on it as well. And what'll happen is when I testify in whatever means I testify, I'll say I'm testifying on behalf of myself. And if the board approves, I'll be saying, and the town of Green Mountain Falls. And so that would be the first one I'd be requesting. One, do you want to take a position? And two, do you want to take a support position?
You
And
said
that
that
could
you-
just be one
Okay.
motion.
I move that, that we support House Bill 24-1006. And that the mayor represent us in our support at the state.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Oh, okay. It's been moved and seconded that the town take a support position on House Bill 24-1006 and authorize me to represent you in testimony. All in favor, say aye.
I,
I abstain.
You abstain.
I oppose.
Okay, so hang on a minute. We had one abstention. We had one oppose, one aye, another aye. So it comes down to moi. I'm going to vote aye. I think this is one we should take a support position on. So it's a 3-1-1. The next one is House Bill 24-1168. And right now we're currently struggling with an existing requirement that anything out on the website has to basically support digital accessibility. This takes it a step further in saying that anything presented has to be on the website there's no alleviations. It says it requires it to be on the website 24 hours in advance. Taking that in conjunction with our existing one, this is going to be a struggle. There's also requirements for basically any kind of accessibility. Again, the problem I have with this bill is that it doesn't give us any options. It basically, it dictates the website and certain things that, quite honestly, I don't know how we're going to do land use with something like this, other than to maybe, if it's legal, do a pass-through cost to hire someone anytime an applicant comes in and we have a land use, which is gonna, I don't even know how to do it. And I've actually done it. I've had to go through on the federal side and type in the things for the tables and the figures. And I don't know how you do that with a drawing. So it takes someone who's a lot more savvy on it than I am.
It's gonna be every board and committee packet.
Yeah. And so, again, this is a tricky one. I would personally attend, and my personal intentions would be to do an amend. It is being followed by PPACG and PPRBD. This one, we could take a no position on if you want and just follow with PPACG and PPRBD because it's on both of their lists. And so I'm gonna ask the trustees, what's your pleasure on this one? Do we want to take a position on this one? Or do we just want to basically do what we call a monitor position?
It also does mention in there about any meetings whatsoever being made public. That's I'm sure legal will probably want to take a look at it, but the workshops that are not being zoomed for the public, there is maybe that's what he's highlighting. I don't know. I can't really zoom in on my screen here, but there is that. I want to consider having that looked at by legal if that's really the case.
Yeah,
the meetings doesn't seem like such a problem to me. It's, as the mayor was referring to drawings that are used by the
There's-
planning commission, for them to be uploaded in a way where they could be read online by someone, I
Right,
I mean,
there's more.
it's complicated. So I think what it's doing is kind of laying down rules without really giving us a path to fulfill those demands of this.
I view it as another unfunded mandate, and that's exactly right. It's something that conceptually, yes, absolutely. You want everyone to have access to the materials.
Right.
Implementation wise, by basically forcing it purely down the website path, it really kind of ties our hands.
Yeah, I think it needs some work. And hopefully they do some work on it and look at it in more practical.
This one I think
Terms.
is going to get a lot of attention as well as like the ADU bill.
Well, hopefully the technology and the cost will catch up, but right
Yeah.
now, I don't know how we could comply with it.
Yeah, like I say, I struggle with it. So,
That being said, I'm not really comfortable
yeah, if the
saying
board's,
yay or nay if this is,
Yeah.
if it gets amended or drafted or whatever, I don't really know.
what we
what I
do
would
with
think
the
of it.
other, like, okay, I'm on PPACG Legislative Committee, PPRBD Legislative Committee. We usually either take a monitor position, or if we support, then we'll actually take a full support position, or we can do amend or oppose unless amended. There's different options, but if the board's not comfortable taking a position on this one, there will be others that are kind of likely going to be challenging it as well.
Well, I appreciate that you're monitoring this.
Yep.
Because I know there are real consequences.
I'm up to about 60 of them now. Yeah, and there's more coming. Go ahead, Bo.
I think another big component of this is that the way I read it, it essentially ends in-person only meetings. That first bullet point goes on to say, is required to be accessible in real time by live streaming, video or audio, is recorded and accessible to individuals with disabilities. So, if you wanted to have an in the field meeting, there is a carve out if there's no internet access. And you wanted to have an in the field meeting up on the hill somewhere, look at trees or something like that. But that's a big change, we couldn't go to an in-person only meeting and knock Zoom off if this passes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's it does seem to say that like our workshops would have to be recorded, or in some way that the people at home that don't have access to getting down to the town hall would it's the only way that they could be a part of it.
I read that the same way, where it says where public business is discussed. It goes on to say where formal action may be taken. But I think the work session would fall under the discussion part of that first bullet point.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I don't have a problem with that. It wouldn't cost us anything. To use the technology we already have to comply with that, but yeah, it's the other issues. It's the getting all that on the
Yeah,
website.
that's crazy. I think inevitably you're going to have corporations that are going to have access to AI that will stand to make a lot of money, not just in the state of Colorado, but this will probably be, if it's not already, moving nationwide. That's, who knows why these decisions are made. Follow the money,
Well, there might be that incentive, but accessibility is something I think that's that we
Oh, of
we would
course.
want for everyone, but
Yeah. The technology hasn't caught up to the demand.
right.
It's so it's going to be very, I guess from what I understand, we're not having to worry about archived material. So municipalities with hundreds of years of archived material are not going to have to, essentially be forced to hand jam this?
So there was a memo that came down from the governor's office that addressed that, but it was like the titling was draft memo. It wasn't decisive, and it wasn't final. So, I hesitate to say that that's guaranteed. And as we approach that July deadline, I'm getting more worried about that, but I hope they adopt that part of their thinking and idea. And where the last that I heard about that was that if you clearly marked an area of the website as archived material, that was kind of grandfathered in, and you could focus on current content, current working content. So.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is maybe more of just kind of keep an eye on this one. And that's totally cool. Those were it for the bills. Moving on to item 6G, the sanctuary status. Now, background on this, El Paso County came out and said, we are not a sanctuary county. Colorado Springs chimed in as well. The other municipalities within El Paso County were not consulted. As mayors, we periodically get together, and the mayors are actually creating a letter, one that kind of slaps El Paso County on the wrist a little bit for saying, hey, you might want to include the other municipalities within your county. But it's full, they're fully autonomous and they can do what they want. So this letter, and I'll read a couple paragraphs out of the draft. It says, in unity, the mayors of El Paso County wish to make it explicitly clear that our respective municipalities are not designated as sanctuary communities. And that's just one sentence out of it. Another paragraph, our communities, while diverse and resilient, do not possess the financial and infrastructure resources required to support having immigrants dropped off in our cities and towns. After some discussion in the work session, I'm thinking that it might be more prudent. The letter is only in draft. We're still crafting the language. Once this letter is done, is bring it back to the board. And if it's time sensitive, I'll request a special, like a Zoom only session to go over it and see if the board wants to sign on as Town of Green Mountain Falls. Does that sound appropriate?
I think so.
Okay. Okay, so that'll effectively table items 6G. And moving on to item 7, discussion items.
No additional discussion items from staff.
Okay, trustees, any additional discussion items? Item 8, correspondence.
I have not had anything come in.
Okay. Item number, having no correspondence, we'll move on to item number 9, our end of meeting public comment. Do we have anyone internal who would like to comment? If you would take the podium, please. And again, state, even though we all know you, state your name and address.
Hi, Lisa Bonwell, 10691 Illinois Avenue, Green Mountain Falls. I just wanted to end the evening with an exciting announcement about building Ute Pass community and explain what it is. So there are some members of our community, local, that got together and realized that we really had hearts in trying to unite our neighbors and join our communities and try to found a way to increase communication between others living in the Ute Pass community in order to improve the betterment of our area, improve safety, et cetera. So we formed Building Ute Pass Community, and our mission is to improve the betterment of our community by holding events, social, historical, educational, et cetera. And so that is what we've done. We have incorporated our nonprofit. We expect to get our nonprofit status hopefully by April, end of April. So we're pretty excited. Our first event that we'll be sponsoring is Bronc Day this year. the 86th. So just wanted to explain that to everybody, and we're really excited, and you're going to hear more as time goes on. Any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commenters in the audience? We'll go to Zoom. I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Yeah, nothing's coming in on the chat either.
Okay, being said, no more commenters, any final items? I'll do a going, gone. It is 8:11. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.